Hello everyone, welcome back to Remind, knowledge sharing channel self-development through good books. This week, I want to share with you an incredibly valuable book. In the southern United States, there is a saying, killing a mockingbird is a sin, because the mockingbird has a beautiful song. It sings melodies that captivate the heart, and it never destroys flowers, fruits, or crops. It only sings for us to hear. Killing such a bird is a crime, and causing a mockingbird to die under the barrel of biased thoughts, prejudices, and stereotypes is also a crime. In our lives, there are so many mockingbirds in the world we live in, due to differences in geography, gender, profession, hobbies, and precisely because of habitual thinking patterns and prejudices that exist everywhere. Like classmates being bullied at school, colleagues isolated at work, kind people who help others but are accused of seeking personal gain somehow, people from rural provinces, many in the LGBT community still viewed through biased eyes. In this world full of indifferent, gloomy people, it causes withering in many families. Wives must definitely act this way or that, while children have no right to comment on adults. And even you yourself. How many times have you been hurt because of others' prejudices and narrow-mindedness? The classic novel To Kill a Mockingbird begins right from its title to convey to readers a profound truth. You never truly know a person until you walk in their shoes. In the story, the main character and narrator is the little Girl Scout, living with her brother Jem and her father Atticus. The author starts from the perspective of a child, because he wants to show us that all the distortions in this life need to begin changing from education. And the highest education for all of us and our children is to know how to respect differences. And for adults, the foremost discipline in self-cultivation is to manage one's own biases. This week, I share with you a classic book by the American author Harper Lee. It has been translated into 40 languages, won the Pulitzer Prize, and has had a profound influence worldwide. Obama once publicly gave 2 books to his daughters, and one of them is this novel. Please listen to a sharing from Remind through the book To Kill a Mockingbird with the title, Walk in Someone Else's Shoes. Part 1. Have you ever killed a mockingbird? Have you ever killed a mockingbird? For an evil soul lives in that house. That's what the people in the town of Macomb say about the eccentric character Radley. Radley's door is always tightly shut, while the townspeople only close their doors on cold winter days or when someone is sick. Radley never goes out. All the kids are terrified of Radley. They even describe him as 6 feet tall, eating live cats with a scarred face, yellow rotten teeth, bulging eyes, always drooling. But the funny thing is, the kids have never met Radley. It's the adults' prejudices around them that make the children exercise their imagination in the most subjective way. In that boring summer, the kids always come up with all sorts of new games to kill time, and they try to sneak into the yard of the eccentric Radley multiple times to lure him out. But what they sense there is still just like the rumors before. Radley's house is the only path for them to go to school. The kids discover that Radley often places small gifts like chewing gum, medals, carved statues in the tree hollow by the gate for them. One day, Miss Maudie's house catches fire. Scout and Jem stand watching the townspeople put out the fire. When they get home, they are stunned to find a blanket draped over them without noticing. Another time, when the kids sneak into the eccentric's house and are discovered by Radley's brother, Jem panics and runs, unfortunately getting his pants caught on the barbed wire, so he has no choice but to leave the pants and escape. The next day, at the tree base, those torn pants have been mended and neatly folded. It was Radley who quietly performed these warm gestures. No one knows that when young, Radley committed a mistake and was confined to the house by his family for 10 years. From then on, he got used to living alone, using an awkward smile instead of cold, indifferent words. Just because he doesn't have a lifestyle that follows the majority, Radley is labeled eccentric by the world. Have you ever thought someone is eccentric? Have you ever, because of someone's difference from you, felt cold, uncomfortable, irritable, angry, or hateful? A philosopher once said that most of us oppose prejudice, but everyone has prejudices. We always think we don't have a biased view of others, believing that prejudice only takes root in the brains and hearts of fools and the wicked. But in reality, each of us has prejudices to some extent. The philosopher Socrates compared humans to prisoners looking at the world in a cave, their bodies bound, and the world can only be guessed from the shadows cast on the cave wall. They believe in what they see forever until they step out of the cave and see the sun. Only then do they realize and see their initial biased thoughts. Therefore, when facing differences, when disagreements occur, when someone acts, thinks, and expresses things not in line with your opinion, please remember that you yourself are also living in the cave, and others are prisoners like you. Only when you know that you could at any time have the killing intent to kill some mockingbird, then you can truly test your character. When you don't judge easily, you can recognize the limitations in your thinking and respect differences. A prominent thinker of classical German philosophy said this: "I respect any independent soul, although some I do not actually accept." Understanding others is a form of compassion, and managing one's own biases is the foremost lesson in self-cultivation for every adult. Part 2. How to protect the mockingbird under the gun of prejudice. The small town of Macomb suddenly buzzes with news because of a shocking rape case. A white girl is violated by a black young man, and the townspeople are even more stirred because the lawyer defending the black defendant is a white lawyer. He is Atticus, the father of the main character, Scout. Neighbors rush in to criticize him. They feel ashamed that he's siding with the black man. Even his daughter is furious with him. Why help a black person? But he only gently reminds his child not to use the word nigger for black people. It's an ugly and very malicious word. In fact, Atticus knows well that fighting in a place where racial discrimination is deeply rooted like this, the chance of winning the case is almost zero. But he believes he must do so to have the right to educate his children. It is the deepest conscience within him that makes him not hesitate and try his best. Even if the world runs against me, I still want to live true to myself. For him, there is one thing that cannot follow the majority: conscience. Throughout the defense period, Atticus is mocked by white people everywhere. The plaintiff in this lawsuit is Mr. Ewell, the father of the girl who accused herself of being raped. After that, he gathers a group of white people to plan sneaking into the jail to beat Tom. Upon hearing the news, Atticus immediately goes to the jail alone, sitting in front of the gate to protect Tom. Facing the attack situation, he doesn't get angry but remains calm. Before his two children's anxiety, friends mock, "Your dad has affection for black folks," making them extremely angry. But Atticus calmly tells his children that you may hear all sorts of ugly words at school, but just do one thing for Dad: hold your head high and lower your fists. No matter what people say about you, don't get angry. Try to fight with your mind. When the majority thinks they are right and you are wrong, of course they have the right to think so, and they also have the right to be fully respected. However, before you can get along with others, you must be at peace with yourself. No one knows what that black man gave Atticus that was so valuable to make him resolutely protect and risk his life like that. In reality, that black man gave Atticus nothing valuable. His name is Tom, a kind-hearted, humble person who often helps the white Ewell family living nearby when needed. The 19-year-old eldest daughter of Mr. Ewell's family is abused by her father, so she lives very reclusively, with little contact with the outside world for a long time. So when meeting Tom, she falls in love with him immediately. One time, she made an excuse to ask Tom to come fix the door and took the opportunity to kiss him. Tom panics and pushes her away. When running out, he bumps right into the drunken father Yule. He compares Mayella and thinks his daughter is ruining the family's reputation by associating with a black man. Fearing loss of face if this spreads, he threatens his daughter to accuse Tom of rape and cause the wound on her face. On the trial day, despite inconsistencies in the testimony, ignoring the clear fact that Tom with a disabled arm could not have caused the wound to the girl, the all-white jury still declares Tom guilty, just because of racial prejudice against black people. Atticus tried to the end but still couldn't win. Finally, Tom no longer believes in the court. He tries to escape from prison and is shot dead. This is a sad ending, and when this novel was published, many people raised opposing opinions against it. Why couldn't Tom win the lawsuit? Isn't it showing that white people will forever have a sense of superiority and discriminate against black people? But we need to know a painful truth that at this time, prejudices in people's hearts pile up like mountains. No matter how hard you try, it's very difficult to shatter them. Atticus alone protects Tom from those prejudices. This symbolizes the weak voice against bias in this society. But no matter how weak, you still have to speak up. Like Atticus told his daughter, when outraged at the court's final decision, someone in the jury realized Tom was innocent, and that's progress. No matter how faint the light of hope, like ignorance buried in long-standing human thinking habits, we still have to fight to the end, protect others from prejudices, and protect yourself from the biased thoughts of those around you. Although Tom has gone, Atticus's conscience, courage, and integrity have made more and more white people support him, and black people love him dearly. Part 3. Managing your own biases. And you will realize that to save yourself and other mockingbirds from biases, first we must know how to manage our own biases. No matter how noisy the outside world is, you must learn to turn a blind eye to others' prejudices toward yourself. In this life, the lower the understanding, the more people like to criticize others because their thinking has been rigid for a long time and they cannot tolerate the smallest differences. Those with higher awareness are ready to tolerate differences. Only when respecting differences, respecting others' opinions, choices, desires, can you have a steadfast heart, not influenced by surrounding prejudices. Then your inner self will be calm like a river, harmonizing all differences. You won't be controlled by others' words and actions, nor will a biased word from someone make you angry, furious, sad, or hurt. Take lightly, despise, and insult from someone so you can devote more energy to your own goals. As the philosopher Sun Tzu once said, a gentleman with talent can tolerate the weak, the wise can tolerate the ignorant, the broadly learned can forgive the shallow, the one with a clean conscience can forgive those with complicated hearts. So please remember that only by respecting and accepting differences can we live well in this world full of prejudices. Part 4. Start from education. Change thinking. And the second thing we need to do is start from education. Psychologists prove that prejudices are thoughts deeply embedded in our thinking and are created and influenced by family, relatives, school, and living environment. In the book Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism, the author points out that at least the definition of a person, thing, or object is often empty or neutral. It has no fixed meaning, but people often attach different qualities to it. It is human subjective evaluation that decides it in a good or bad direction. There is a story like this. A white mother and child catch a taxi. The driver is African. The child asks the mother, "Mom, why does the driver have a different skin color from us?" The mother smiles and replies, "God created people with different colors to make the world colorful." The black driver, after hearing this, is very moved. Upon arrival, he absolutely refuses the money from the mother and child, moved to say, "When he was young, I also asked my mother a similar question, but my mother said we are black, and our fate is inferior. If my mother had answered like you today, I could have had a different self. This is the impact of education on people, a simple way that determines a person's way of viewing things, and more broadly, it will decide the change in a life's trajectory. Like the father Atticus in the story, he calmly and patiently educates his children so they gradually eliminate the biased colors and sounds from what they have seen and heard, and gradually realize that in this world, differences are nothing to fear. What is scary is the bias and arrogance in human thinking. In Three-Body Problem, there is a very famous sentence: ignorance is not an obstacle to survival, but arrogance is. You need to know that deep in every biased thought, there may exist a thought that I am superior to others, thinking white people are superior to black people, thinking city dwellers have the right to mock the accents of provincial people, thinking those in the LGBT community are different, alien. So is it that people are distorted, or because you are looking at them through a crack? Part 5. Reading is like human breathing. Even if you don't like it, you must do it. And finally, to lower the gun, don't let it point at innocent mockingbirds. I hope you listen to the teaching of Father Atticus. Reading is like human breathing. Even if you don't like it, you must do it to recognize biases and change ingrained thinking. Reading is the most effective way. Reading is a very simple thing, but too many people in this era cannot implement and maintain it. So remember that when you cannot change your origin, living circumstances, when you cannot change others, the only way to overcome the prejudices of the era is to read. The philosopher Schopenhauer once said the obstacle preventing people from discovering truth is not the illusory appearance of things nor the defect in human reasoning ability but prejudice, what we have accumulated before. Reading this book, the most precious thing for all of us is to accept a truth that both you and I have prejudices to some extent. Both you and I have been, are, and will be mockingbirds, and also people who can point the gun to kill other mockingbirds. But it's time we must be brave with the originally beautiful conscience to protect the mockingbirds. Read a lot, learn a lot to broaden your vision, to be ready to accept differences with a serene soul. When your inner self is full, when your thoughts expand, those who don't please your eyes, things you're not satisfied with, will gradually diminish. Thank you for listening. If you feel this video is useful, please share it with those who need it. Don't forget to ponder this classic novel yourself, to draw your own insights and lessons. And don't forget to support Remind with a like. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications to catch the latest videos every week. Once again, sincerely thank you all, and see you in the next videos.